right. We are now going to do the USDT.D section of our report, and then we'll finish up. We'll go a little bit faster because I'm running out of time. I got 49 minutes left. So today is a very important update for USDT.D. Everything in this video is never financial investment or trade advice of any kind. Everything's just for entertainment, educational, and comedic purposes only. I eat red crayons for breakfast. Trading in markets carries substantial risk. Never trade more than you can afford to lose, and especially be aware against high leverage trading. All right, I got a very important update that I want to share with you guys that I wrote this morning regarding this chart. To show you, there's something that is very telling about this story for USDT.D. Number one, as I've let you guys know, there's a strong support here, right? And this support was broken into a delayed territory. And that means there's short-term bullish trades only that may occur, but it's delayed, so it should waste our time. This is not really my cup of tea when trading something bullish, but there's something that is very important about this kind of thing that happens. We did not stay down very long, and we did not hit the leveled out parabolic, which is here, okay, right there in my target. We didn't hit that. Now I have, for the last few months, been telling everybody a very important thing is happening. And you guys know from our public reports, I believe the markets are very bearish. And we hit all of our targets, like here and here, we hit that. The numbers exactly from our public reports on YouTube. You guys can see our Q4 reports. But there's something that really is very critical. And that's when we break above 6.623. Now that's going to be, it was 62624. Now it's 623. And basically it continues to go down as time goes on. So right now, if it's next time, it's 62330 or 28. But it's basically 6.62. When this happens, the markets should crash in a very big way. Now, we've been flirting with that line once in November, and now this week, December 18th. We hit the number again exactly, right? Look, exactly, we keep hitting my number. The problem is we're not above it, but the volume is telling a story, and the structure of the chart is telling a story. So I want you to pay attention. All right. Let's start again at the large one. I'll try not to take too much of your time. But as I've mentioned from previous reports, there is large structures that are parabolic that tells us when we should be more likely moving up. For us, that was back in October. This is when I started making Q reports saying, hey, the markets are going to be bearish. So if you guys have been following me on YouTube, or watching this free report or this part of the report, you guys know that since October, I've been preaching a message that the markets are going to crash. And the reason is because when this chart goes up, your cryptos come down. So I pay attention to what this chart does because it speaks for a lot of what happens in the crypto market. And then when we broke above this area here and this health, and we achieved this health back in the day, this was now November 15th, that tells us more that we're likely to continue up. The next one we need, again, is that 6.62. When that happens, this is going to be a big crash. That's going to lead us closer to our targets over here at 8.05 to 7.09. And our top line of 8.75 to 8.19 circle clusters. Now, that puts me at an average of about right here. And I haven't publicly declared that this is a target. But guess what? Today, I'm going to be changing that, and not based on the fact that we are above here, but based on what you're going to see in just a few moments. So right now, I'm making a public declaration that I think this is going to be very likely hit. And that is going to be the average of 8.28 to 8.06. When the market hits this 8-point number, it's very likely you're going to see cryptos very much in the dumps. A very big crash is about to occur if this triggers. Now, I'm already putting this target above because I think it's going to trigger. As I've shown you in the past, the arrow's pointing this way, and I think that this is going to be where we're rejecting. The truth is we're probably going to get higher to even the 9s, maybe even 9.4, as we've had people in the prophetic communities and our communities see the 9 number and higher numbers. This is a very strong number. Triple J had somewhere in the 7s, which are about right here. Christian had somewhere in the 9s. My data puts us somewhere in the 8s to the high 8s. So I would be leaning, if I had to pick one, to 8.82 to be on the safe side for this, which is about right there, okay? But currently, this is what I have for you, my friends. I have for you that things are not going to be pretty. And let's discuss. So not only do we have these larger parabolics that level out and are building on the short term, but also the long term parabolics that are based on this larger story all the way back from November of 2024. So we got this smaller parabolic, just a little recap, right here, and price building above those areas. Okay. And that's that. And then I got this larger parabolic that's been part of these larger centers of energy, or as we call energy centers. So we got some larger story that's been telling us, and price being here in this side, but against this resistance somewhere around here, tells me it's a very short time before we possibly break out of this area. But this is the resistance, and price keeps hitting that resistance. Now, how do we know if we're more likely to break to one side or the other side? For that, we have volume. And volume gives us a more statistical edge, but we need the movement to confirm. But it lets us know what side we're more likely to be expecting. Now, this is not always immediate, but when we start seeing these things combined with structure, it's one analysis that we can overlay with another analysis. So again, it's not always immediate, but it starts painting a very strong picture. All right, now in lesson number 1 in our Sword Method 5.0 series, I teach you guys this. I say this all the time, 6.0 and 1.0. I see, 6.0 and 5.0 filming on our lessons page, on our website, patreon.com. I'll let you guys know this. What happens at trend lines is just as important as what doesn't happen at trend lines. So we're here in our live Saturday session, 9 a.m. on Saturday, but I'm filming this specific part within our chart room. And I'm letting you guys know that we were supposed to fall here in this section. This is where we broke to the downside. So I said, we're going to be going a little bit further, but we didn't. We challenged the underside of the line. So the line went like this. We challenged the underside, 1, 2. I said, that's interesting. And then we came here and I said, guys, I don't trust this on the 3-hour. I don't really trust this breakout just yet. I don't think that this is the time just yet. I think we get a little bit more time. On the 3-hour chart, it looked like this. So I filmed this. I believe this was on Monday. I said, I don't really trust that this is going to be a breakout just yet. And what happened? We didn't break out really. We just came down, and now we're still here. So this breakout wasn't to be trusted. But guess what? The breakdown did not happen either. The breakdown was supposed to be under the foundational area, and it's here. And it's still there at 6.17. This is when we can trigger bullish trades. Okay? This is when we can to start trading, because when this comes down, cryptos come up. So this is where this is supposed to happen. Guess what? Hasn't happened yet. We're still waiting for a chance to take some bullish trades. The problem is, while we're waiting, we cannot ignore what is new and what is appearing. And what I think is new and what is appearing is the larger story. I think it's sneaking up on people, and here it is. Number 1, it's this support, which is part of the daily chart. That is that price moved into a health and is building on that healthy area. Let me show you what I mean. Okay, here is let me hide this one, get it out of the way. Here is price breaking above these structures and sitting down. And that's a good thing for if we're going to try to move to the upside. But again, that's going to be cause for a very bearish action. So we've already hit our upward target again, and price is oscillating. It hasn't fallen, and it didn't fall when it had the biggest chance to fall. Again, that was here. This was the delay area. We were supposed to hit event line, but all we hit was event and went straight up again and into a health. So larger, we can see that this has a lot of bullish weight to it. Now, another thing that we have about this that's going to be more important, and I'm going to show you this new text that I gave you guys this morning, or I'm giving you right now. And that's this text right here. So let me see if I can make the text really big. Okay. And I said volume alignment weekly chart, local and macro. So this is on the charts, using the weekly chart, I see the local volume, which is the more micro stuff, individual stuff going on, lining up with the macro. And this is what I said. This move is more to be trusted. This up move is more to be trusted. To break to the upside. Failure to move to the bottom, sitting on the support, indicates strong upside. This is heavily leans that the crypto markets will experience a large crash. And the reason I'm even more so now than I didn't trust the 3 hour a few days ago, but now I can more trust that, because still we haven't gone down. We only are experiencing health. We're now sitting on these supports. That's telling me a strong thing is about to happen. So let's look at the volume first in the larger macro, and then we're going to look at it in the micro. So this is something I've done so many times, so I won't spend too much time doing this, but I'm just hiding my lines, turning on the weekly chart, and showing you that we measured for these 3 calculations. And we saw at these 3 areas already A, B, and C for the volume zone block, which we often do in just purple. And I'm just doing it with crayons to simplify this for you, to make things simple. Of our volume zone block, we're calculating for sellers. We can see that the sellers are losing in this battle. We know they're losing because the volume keeps increasing at each one of their challenges. Take a look. At each one of the challenges and sellers come out, we can keep seeing they're fighting, but they keep losing because there's a strong increase in their relationship to each other. This tells us there's a lot of traders willing to sell or part with USDT.D at higher prices, and that indicates they're hoarding. People are hoarding money. They're not trading in the crypto. They're trading in stable coins. If they're trading in stable coins, they're away from the markets. This indicates that something bearish is going to happen. So all of this paints a story that this price is more appropriate to trade higher. Now, we already calculated based on some of the other things, like the flats and the larger parabolics, that we should be structurally breaking out soon. But there's basically resistance somewhere here, and in the very near future, our breakout's coming. But the volume is telling us you're more likely to get your breakout because it keeps challenging, and it's telling us we're losing the challenge. Sellers are losing the challenge. Sellers are getting overwhelmed with supply. With supply. In other words, sellers are losing. Now, if sellers are losing and buyers are winning, that's something else that's even more powerful. But in this case, we've done this calculation many times. This is the game of supply and absorption, or absorption and control. And we can see in this case, we have a losing condition for absorption and control. 1, because we have an increase in volume. 2, because we would have either equal volume. And the third one we would be looking for is aggregately high overall volume. Those are the 3 that we look for in a losing condition when we're calculating to see who's losing. We teach this on Wednesdays. We teach this in our classes and our bonus lessons. Okay, losing condition. So all of this paints a very picture that we're going here. Now, that is the larger story. Let's go back and now zoom in just to this individual piece right there. We're going to zoom in, and this time we're going to look at that from a daily and 12-hour perspective. So I'll go to the 12-hour perspective, and I'm this time just going to be calculating for this local move. So again, we have the larger story, and then we have the smaller story. So let's calculate for just this area here. We're going to calculate for this. Now, calculate. Now let's calculate local. Okay, that's going to be this area here. So let's do that. So we're going to zoom in. Zoom in. All right, we're going to zoom in and take a look at what we find. That's what we're doing. So now I look, and if I see the same thing, I can know with more probability if sellers are winning. So now I'm going to see if sellers are winning locally. Is everybody still with me so far? Now I have 3 areas we can basically calculate. 1, 2, 3. I've challenged 3. Now on Wednesday, I wasn't trusting the breakout at that moment. And sure enough, we're basically correct. But now we have to see, because the volume for the week is over. I'm going to do the VZB, block out a volume zone block in this area. We'll use this one. We can make it as simple as A, B, and C if we wanted to, and calculate for that. So let's see what the volume shows us now. All right. Here it is. So A, B, C. The volume was high. The volume is high, slightly high. Actually, I'll do this like this. And on C, which is here, we have equal to volume. You can see the volume is still equal to. So we have an equal to scenario. We still have overall high, which is aggregately high. And then we have a high volume. Now, all of this indicates now that they're not done with this trading. In context, it's still bullish. It's still in health overall. So in context, we're still keep doing this. We didn't fall when we were supposed to with the larger story stuff. We didn't fall when all we did was go to the right and up. So there's the weakness is telling us prices are not really weak. It's not really ready to go down. So when we put it all together, we can make a condition and still say sellers are losing locally as well. This makes a condition where higher prices are more likely. So now we have a larger story where prices are more likely to go up, a smaller story where prices are located up. Failure to fall is bullish, is a bullish sign. Because if you know when you're supposed to fall and you don't fall there, it's just as important. Lesson number 1, remember, what happens at a trend line is just as important as what doesn't happen. If you know that line is strong and you didn't fall when you were supposed to, you know what you're looking at. Darn good and well, something is wrong with your line or something is wrong with price. In this case, if we drew our line, we were supposed to fall, and I'll draw it for you guys again. Here's a 12-hour chart. You can easily see it. There. Price went through the bid line, but did not fall when it was supposed to. It did not happen. That's a sign of bullishness. Instead, only a new health occurred based on something local. So it's part of a larger up move, and in up moves, we just hunt the down moves. So we look for those moves, and when your health comes in, you're more likely to move up. This is more likely to move up. So however we slice it and dice it, it's telling a story where we're still more looking to the upside. Even if weakness occurred, the weakness wasn't strong enough. It just makes the line a little bit more muted. And that's okay too. So this is all what we're looking at right now. Oh. Hold on. One moment, guys. My dad's calling on the phone. I'm like, it's do not disturb, but Dad, he always he's calling to probably wish my wife happy birthday. Praise God. Okay, so all of this is to tell a very strong story, I think, to the upside. Again, many factors are pointing this direction. And if it's pointing this direction, we're going to be leaning that the markets are going to crash. In my opinion, I think the markets are going to crash. I think no matter how I slice it and dice it, the story for lack of falling is telling a very critical element of this. So let's review everything. Again, bullish health, failure to fall, volume locally is matching the volume on the macro larger story. And that's telling the story that we're moving to the high side. But the problem is we need to be a little bit careful and cautious. The number I'll give you guys is this number here for the parabolic support. It's still in play. So if you see price playing below here, you know you got some time to be bullish. And this target will still be in play. Until then, this target is got to wait until we get below here. Once this happens, then we can start taking possible bearish trades. And then this gives us a little bit more time before we can do something like that. So if we get below there, look for that. But right now, it's not in play. So this just got to wait for a little bit longer. And then there might be some bullish trades on the board. But as it is, it's looking like we're going to get a bounce and maybe the bounce right here. So that means I'm expecting Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, closer to the next week, right? Somewhere during next week, I'm looking to get a bounce here. And that's going to be a little bit bearish. So if you guys are looking to get on the cusp of a time when the crypto markets may crash and you're trying to get out at some of the best prices, this may be the area. This is about probably the most bullish we can get. If you're lucky, we may get the bullishness move down at the 5-7%. If you're lucky, that means you get some good prices. Otherwise, it's very possible the crash is very possible into the Christmas weekend. We may see a bearishness, and then the next bearishness, the big one, the big kahuna, is going to be right here. And I promised you guys years ago when these happen, I will let you guys know all the stuff that I see when it comes time to the big crash publicly. So this is what I see. This is how I see the game playing. The number is 6.25. That gives us a little bit more time. So if I see price building underneath there, I'm going to be thinking to myself, okay, that's not such a bad thing. We get a little bit more time. We can come down. But right now, it is just delay. And a failure to go all the way down to the lower tells me almost everything we need to know. There's strength to the upside. And if there's strength to the upside, your cryptos are more likely to crash. Again, now I'm solidifying this color. I'm making sure that the color is not so faded away. This color gets more faded away. It becomes less likely as a scenario as the more health keep coming in. All right, the down move gets hunted. We're challenging here. The volume shows that the sellers have not loosed. So again, it paints a more picture that we're more likely to start trying to challenge and even break to the upside. If you guys want to be a part of our community, go to our Patreon, patreon.com/jsung_7.
Sharon from Our Daily Bread, she's talking about this dream where the party ends on December 20th. The party ends on December 20th, which is today.
The daily chart says that the party's ended today.
Wow.
This is about, if these are holding, it's basically this structure. Here's your uptrend. Okay, we've been in the uptrend for a long time. That means the markets have been bearish for a long time. You hunt your down moves in an uptrend. There's your move. You hunted, you sat down on this. We should be going up. So again, today's the best price to start a short, but it's not the safest price. I guess that's the best way I can describe it. It's the best price to start a short, but not the safest price. You could start a position here. As one wise trader said, he takes a small position. Then when he makes sure he's winning, at his next juncture, he adds to it. Now, he doesn't have these kind of lines that we do. He was a trader that lived back in the 80s and onwards and 50s and 60s and 70s, something like that. I can't remember his name, Vaughn something. He had a methodical system where he would just add to his position only when it's winning. And that's a more safer bet. So I would take action here and here, small action here, confirmation action there. Market, she's probably right. The party is over. Probably very much over. Okay. Remember, the prophetic word for the party's over was spoken by Sharon, now Daily Bread. I personally believe in her context, I believe this counts for the world, not exactly for the people in our community. Just like maybe a picture may be very grim. Oh, you're going to be crucified. But for the disciple, that would be a very powerful thing. To see our Lord crucified means his redemption. So for some in context, this would seem like a very grim thing, But for us, Triple J is saying that's a good thing for us, because for us, the party's just getting started because we know the numbers. We know exactly what will happen and where, or more likely what's going to happen and where, so we can actually see it in slow motion. Hey, you are here. This is happening. And those prophetic numbers line up with the map numbers and stuff. So Sharon from Now Daily Bread, and as I demonstrated again in today's video, partially since October, we're talking about these larger areas in the sky. We did target system months ago on the monthly chart, and it tells us somewhere closer to 8 to the high 7s. The circle target projections, we got into the closer to the high 8s, and then we got the large resistances here based on some other calculations that we have. A lot of this is telling us the same story. We should be continuing to move up, but I'm only here to tell you guys today, based on the data, it appears we're more likely to get them bounce now. The failure to fall at this point back to the lower support tells me we're accelerating at a very rapid pace. The volume telling us on the larger story, on the more macro story, all the volume at these three challenges, we're going to the high side. The volume at the local, as we did today, we zoomed in. It was telling us that we should be more breaking to the upside. Everything keeps telling us. The supports that we're sitting at tells us we're breaking to the upside. Two areas in big summary, three big areas are important to make decisions at. Number one, that's going to be 6.25, which is now. We're sitting there now. The volume is high now. I think what's going to happen is I think big money is coming into this, and it's going to cause it to start going up again, and that's already going to be the start of bearishness. Then the real bearishness starts at 6.28, as I've been letting you guys know for months. 5.27 is still on the board because of that parabolic shape that's about right here, as you guys can see. But mostly those are the three big areas that I think all of you guys should be careful and make decisions about. The markets will enter a very negative state. After that, we're going to bounce, and it's going to be almost like a super bounce to the moon. And that's going to be a very negative moon for a lot of you guys out there in watching this program. So be ready for your cryptos to take a dump. And I think Bitcoin's going to be closer to the 50s by that time that we're here, closer to the 7s. Just for reference, Triple J's seven prophetic numbers somewhere right here. So you can get an idea how far we really have to go based on some of the calculations we've done with DP and other things. And we'll do more calculations when we're there. But just so you know, everybody has a game plan. When the markets take a big tank, it's probably wise once we enter 6.62 to have some kind of shorts to either offset your losses or to even trade to make money, because there's going to be some good opportunities to trade. Some people are going to want to make a decision now to start trading. I would take only small shorts right now based on some of this, and then a bigger shorts here. It's still possible that this one could come in play underneath 6.25, and then we would have this big move here to the downside, and that'd be one last gulp of air, of bullish air before we go up. But right now, it's not looking like we're going to get this gulp of air to this downside. It doesn't look like it's going to happen right now. If I was me and I'm in bullish positions, I want to cut my losses short. I want to take whatever profits. Yesterday, I was in a bullish trade, and I just got out. When I saw this yesterday, this was from December 19th, I just got out of my bullish position. I'm out of basically almost everything in the market. I'm just in cash position, waiting to possibly short. And that's just where I'm at. You guys can do whatever you want. I'm not telling people how to trade. I am out of bullish positions. I'm basically out of almost everything I have, waiting because I think I can get better prices. And I think that I'm going to be looking for some good shorts. I want to find some nice, juicy stuff. And that's where I'm at. All right. Thank you very much for watching this part of the recording. We're going to continue with our Saturday session. If you want to join us, you can go on our website, patreon.com/jason_7. If you'd like to support our ministry, links to give in an offering or something is found in every one of our YouTube videos. And you guys can join us as a free DARV member. You can join for as little as $1 and get the first session of every month for free. And you'll get access to 7 days of free trial on Patreon if you guys want to. Otherwise, it's $12 for a report tier, $18 for getting invited to our live sessions, which I always recommend. You can see those videos, take the screenshots live, and then you'll get our copies. Everyone will get copies of our image notes who are dive and report tier members.